There are seasons in a woman's life when she reaches a point she never expected to experience, a place where every familiar voice grows distant, every comforting presence fades, and every hand she once held slowly slips away. It is the season where she looks around and realizes that she is standing completely alone, not emotionally alone, not socially alone, but deeply, profoundly alone. And in that moment, with tears she tries to hide even from herself, she whispers, "God, it's just me and you now." This realization can feel like heartbreak wrapped in silence. It can feel like a world collapsing and a world beginning at the same time. Because when a woman has no one but God, she steps into a sacred space most people never enter, a space where she finds out who she truly is, who God truly is, and what her life was always meant to become. At first, she may resist it. She may fight against the loneliness, trying desperately to hold on to people God has already removed from her path. She may replay memories, question her decisions, or ask herself what she did wrong. She may ache for companionship, for understanding, for someone to sit beside her and simply say, "You're not alone." But human reassurance cannot fill a divine emptiness. God often clears the room so he can speak to her without interference. And slowly, something begins to shift inside her. It doesn't happen in a single moment. It happens in hundreds of small, almost invisible moments. Moments where she cries and no one sees but God. Moments where she prays and the room feels warm with his presence. Moments where she feels her strength failing, yet somehow she keeps going. Moments where she starts to realize that solitude isn't punishment, it's invitation. Because when a woman has no one but God, he becomes her counselor, her healer, her teacher, her comforter, her protector, and her peace. She begins to talk to him more, not out of ritual, but out of genuine need. She talks to him like a friend, like a father, like someone who understands her without explanation. Her prayers become deeper. Her thoughts become clearer. Her discernment becomes sharper. This woman begins to notice that God fills spaces in her heart that people were never capable of filling. The validation she once chased no longer matters. The opinions that once wounded her lose their power. The emotional emptiness she battled begins to ease, not because someone entered her life, but because God filled her from within. And in that quiet place, God begins to reveal truths she once ignored, truths about her worth, her identity, her purpose. He shows her that she is not alone because she is unlovable. She is alone because he is rebuilding her. He is stripping away unhealthy attachments, dismantling old patterns, and breaking generational wounds she didn't even realize she was carrying. He is teaching her how to stand spiritually, mentally, and emotionally without leaning on fragile human support. A woman who learns to walk with God alone becomes a woman who cannot be manipulated, broken, or easily shaken ever again. Her soul becomes anchored. Her spirit becomes stable. Her heart becomes wiser. She develops a quiet boldness, a strength that doesn't need to shout to be felt. She walks with a kind of authority that only comes from surviving places that tried to break her. But transformation also requires honesty. There will be nights when she feels the weight of her isolation pressing into her chest. Nights when she longs for companionship, but realizes God is still calling her into deeper intimacy with Him. Nights where she sees other people moving forward, and she wonders if she is falling behind. But she is not falling behind. She is being refined. God does not rush her healing. He does not hurry her growth. He does not pressure her to pretend she's okay. Instead, He sits with her in the lonely moments, teaching her patience, resilience, and trust. He whispers strength into her when she feels fragile. He holds her through emotional storms no one else even knows she is facing. He becomes the anchor that keeps her steady in seasons where everything is changing around her, and something miraculous begins to happen. She starts to love herself again. She starts to speak kindly to herself again. She starts to build boundaries she once feared to set. She starts to detach from unhealthy patterns she once accepted. She starts to understand that God didn't allow her to be alone to break her confidence. He allowed it so she could find the confidence that comes from Him alone. This is when her mindset shifts. She stops seeing solitude as emptiness. She starts seeing it as training. She stops begging God for people. She starts thanking God for protection. She stops looking backward. She starts stepping forward. And in that forward motion, the world begins to look different. She begins to carry a glow people can't explain. Her peace becomes noticeable. Her presence begins to feel stronger. Her decisions become more intentional. She no longer moves from insecurity. She moves from identity. She no longer moves from fear. She moves from faith. When a woman reaches this level of spiritual maturity, she attracts differently. She discerns differently. She loves differently. She communicates differently. She forgives differently. She no longer settles for half love, half effort, half presence, or half respect. She knows what she deserves because God showed her how deeply she is loved. And then, in His perfect timing, God begins to restore, not all at once, but piece by piece. He brings new connections, healthier, kinder, more aligned. He brings new opportunities, bigger, brighter, purposeful. He brings new strength, not loud strength, but quiet, unshakable strength. He brings love, right love, mature love, God-sent love. And she realizes something breathtaking. If she had not walked through that season of having no one but God, she would not have become this version of herself. She would not have grown this deeply. She would not have healed this thoroughly. She would not have stood this confidently. She would not have recognized the blessings God is now placing in her life. So if you are a woman walking through a season where you feel like you have no one but God, understand this. You are not being punished. You are being prepared. You are not abandoned. You are being aligned. You are not alone. You are being carried. This is not the end of your story. This is the chapter that strengthens the woman who will walk boldly into the next one. Because when a woman has no one but God, She finally becomes exactly who God created her to be.